not make sense, your result might not make sense.
Okay.
Let's say
Can you go back to that previous slide though? I just want to have a look. Okay. Okay. All right.
that. All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Okie dokie. So up to now, um, we mainly talked about, for 3 lectures, we talked about relational algebra stuff. And then we also had 3 more lectures for, 3 or 4 more lectures, I guess, for SQL queries. And mainly we talked about DML stuff, right? So data manipulation languages, how we can select something, how we can insert something to a table. We did talk a bit about creating tables and things like that, but those are all data definition stuff, right? So how do I define a database? How do I define a table? And most importantly, how do I impose certain constraints on our table? We talked about certain constraints such as this is a primary key or that's a foreign key and things like that. And we want to be able to set up more constraints on our table so that uh, invalid operations are actually nipped in the bud without me having to go into my table and deleting those entries one after the other, right? So you would actually have some normalized and pre-processing operations before your data gets inserted into a table. That is the first check. And on top of that, your database should be strict enough, or your database design should be strict enough such that it does not allow illegitimate inputs to your table in the first place, right? So for the next few sessions, we would actually talk about the mechanics of defining a database schema, which would impose certain constraints on our table such that um, uh, we can have some more strict, how should I say this? So basically, we want our table to be good in the sense that we want our table to be concise and also have strict regulations on what type of data would it allow. Because remember that different values have different results in terms of what your queries are. So for example, let's say that you're using some query on a table that has the aggregate operation of a sum. Then at that point, we really do not want to have a particular attribute to allow the null value, right? So at the moment when we designed our database, inserted all those values, maybe all those values are perfect and that is fine, and we performed our queries, we wrote our queries. But later down the line, when we add more and more stuff to our database as entries, we don't want to allow someone to add null to it, because that would actually mean that our database queries would actually fail after. So essentially, our general design goal should be to design our database as strictly as possible, but not too strict such that unnecessary regulations are there. And we want to mainly try to eliminate the ability to store invalid data for security reasons, performance reasons, whatever. So databases do allow you to check for compatibility when you're submitting your new entries. But first, before we get into that, let's talk about the hierarchy of how your database is um, stored. So essentially, your database is stored in some levels of hierarchy. So remember that we can have multiple databases, and individual databases can also have multiple tables inside. So for our homework example, if we wanted, we can design 3 different databases. So for libraries, for banks, for universities, we can have 3 different databases, where each of those databases can have their own sort of tables that relate to each other. So no table inside a database would have the same name inside the database of another. Inside a particular database, every table name has to be unique, and they can relate to each other, but they cannot relate to some other table in another database, right? So usually those naming constraints are there, and usually your databases are abstracted in or two or three abstraction levels. So firstly, we have catalogs. So those are, let's start from the bottom. Firstly, we have tables, right? We have your tables and relations. A group of tables can be joined together into databases or as MySQL calls them, schemas. And then on top of that, you can have a group of databases, which we call catalogs, right? So the last or the first two set of hierarchies become a bit blurry, and you will see why, but essentially that is how your databases are like stored in a hierarchy. Um, so if we do want to access the table with a full name, we would actually say catalog.schema.table, and that would get me the entire table, right? Um, the catalog functionality is not covered by standard SQL specifications. Now, maybe they are trying to put it in as a standard. However, there are many databases out there where the catalog or the group of databases thing is not a standard. And so many people are actually using those databases and they don't want to like change to the new specifications. So right now, catalog and schemas are out there. It depends upon implementation. So for example, in MySQL, they actually consider a schema to be a database. So usually that is available in all databases as well. And you remember, if you remember, in MySQL, schema and databases are used interchangeably, right? So create schema, this thing, create database, that thing, the same thing. In general, in terms of the standards, databases generally correspond to catalogs, and then you can have schemas under them. But again, in MariaDB, as you know, that databases are just considered to be the schemas or catalogs of the same thing, right? Okay. We can also specify, and we talked about this before, we can also specify the default database where a server should connect to by just saying use that particular database. Or if you have multiple users that have the same database names or same table names, which would be the case once we start basically in this class. So in that scenario, usually you would also have a user ID attached to your database. So you would have student name dot database, and when I run it on my machine, it becomes host dot database and things like that. So username changes. And so essentially I can have the same database as yours and I can check your queries with mine. That is okay. So we talked about creating tables and just as a refresher, let me go over it again. Up to now, we have not talked about, I mean, we did not have any homework where you guys actually create a table and design a table on your own. And we will talk about good database design and good table design in the later half of the semester a lot more. But essentially, um, just as a refresher, so in order to create a new table, we just said create table with the name, attribute type and type names. Types could have been int, char, varchar. We talked about which data type would be required for what. We said for zip codes, the char was much better. For usernames, a varchar is much better. We also had the date data type. These are the more common ones. There are also other data types as well that you can have. Our column name should always be representative of what that column does. And that should, just by looking at the column name, you should be able to guess where that column comes in handy, right? So that is just good database design for names. Any questions before we begin with constraints? Okay, so the main first constraint that we should remember is, let's say that we do not want a particular attribute to be a null value at all. We would rather have uh, an attribute that will never allow a null value at all. And we remember that one way to do it was to set a particular attribute name as a primary key. Right, a primary key would never allow that particular attribute to be a null value. And we can set primary keys like this. So we can say create table account number is char10, branch name is varchar20, balance is numeric 12,2, primary key is account number, right? So that means that no two rows can have the same values for the primary key because account number is a primary key. So we can't have more than one account number. So every account number is unique. And one other thing to note, that a primary key will not allow you to have null values, and a table can only have one primary key. That primary key can be comprised of multiple attributes. So 2 or 3 attributes together can comprise of a single primary key, but it has to be a single primary key. You can't have multiple primary keys. Okay, so so if we have single column primary keys, sometimes you would see that those tables are designed like this or defined like this. This is also fine. So that is create table account number _10 is primary key, branch name blah, balance is that is also fine. If we but this particular syntax does not allow you to have multiple attribute primary keys. Right, this is just for single attribute primary keys. We can just specify that, you know what, this attribute is the primary key. If we want multi-column primary keys, we would have to specify that set of primary keys after our table definition. So create table depositor, customer name, account number, and then primary key is both customer name and account. So that means that both of those together have to be unique, and also none of these can be a null value, right? Okay, coming back to null. So null is like a ghost that will come and harass you a lot when you're talking about databases. So let's talk about null properly, and let's just say that I don't want to, so I don't want to set all of my attributes to be primary keys. But however, I also don't want these attributes to become null. How do I specify that particular requirement? For example, in my depositor relation, I really don't want my balance to be a primary key. I don't want every person to have a unique balance, right? Everyone can have a same balance if that need be, but I also don't want to have a null balance for someone. It can be zero, it can be positive, it cannot be anything else, right? So how do I state those constraints when we are defining our table? So for that, we would specify next to our attribute that this cannot be null by using the not null constraint. So we can say account number _10 is a primary key, branch name varchar 20 not null, balance numeric 12,2 not null, and so on. Right? So as you can see already, our data definition, our table definition has grown a bit, and now it also contains these new constraints as well, and that is fine. And as you can see that this particular slide actually shows you that these names are these uh, keywords are actually tab spaced, right? So you can do this, that is totally fine. And I would actually ask you guys to like come up with your own way of writing your own code, that is totally fine. Usually I prefer to write something like this because at the end of every line, I actually add a comment to specify what that particular attribute does. And then essentially I could see what's going on. And it's up to you how you want to write it, but be consistent across your entire coding style. I usually write comments here because at the end of the day, once you have created your database, somebody else might be looking at that database, and it can become frustrating because if that person